Okay, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another exciting episode of Tech Talk, where we're keeping you updated. My name is Jonathan Nindi, aka JAY, and if you're new to the channel, welcome to the channel. You're going to be in for some very good content. For those that have been sticking around, thank you so much, and we hope you're enjoying the episodes so far. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tech Talk. Okay, so on today's episode, we are actually asking a very interesting question. And this question is, where did Ulendo go? Yeah, I hope you got the pun in that title. Like, where did Ulendo go? Like Ulendo Taxi, where did Ulendo Taxi go? I hope you get it. If you don't get it, we're gonna explain it to you so that you get it. But as we get to that point, if you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button so that you can be getting more videos from us. So, where did Ulendo go? Now, the reason I'm asking this is because a few events have happened over the course of 2023, and which have actually led us to ask that question, where did Ulendo go? Now, to understand where we are, we need to first understand where we're coming from. So let's rewind a bit and go back to the way things were back in the day. So, back in the day, when you're planning to go somewhere, you either catch a public bus or you get a taxi. And back in those days, what would really happen is you probably have like maybe a particular taxi person that always ferries you around, and so you call them up every now and then. They're like your taxi guy. Or the conventional way is you go by the roadside, pull up a taxi. I mean, you call up a taxi by the taxi rank or that kind of a thing, and they take you around, you go about your business. That's how things have been done. I think the latter is actually what happened more often than not, because like everybody seems to have this sort of taxi guy that they would always call up and say, hey, I want to go here. And basically that's how people went about doing their thing. And taxi drivers would wait for these people to basically call them, or they would be at the taxi rank and things would happen just like that. That's how it used to happen. Now, fast forward to 2018, and things somewhat changed. So, unlike other countries around the world that may have services such as Uber and many other um, taxi services, we had always been doing things, that is, we in Zambia had always been going about things with just doing taxis the conventional way. You have your taxi person or you go to a taxi rank, that kind of a thing. But in other parts of the world, Uber was running the show, and they've been running the show for a very long time. Uber is an internationally acclaimed ride hailing company that offers taxi services in various countries around the world. So how Uber works is you call up, they have an application that you download from the Play Store, and through the application you're able to request for taxi services. Now, bringing it back home, and up to 2018, we had been doing things the old way of, dealing with taxis and stuff like that. Come 2018, we saw the launch of our own taxi app here called Ulendo Taxi Services. Now, a bit of a backstory. I mean, that I remember the time this thing was actually being talked about and the time it started. Very humble beginnings, I must say. I remember this one time I heard about how Ulendo was approaching these taxi drivers, and they would tell them, oh, we're trying to push this taxi service in Zambia, blah, 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 that kind of a thing. And they would be putting out communication to get taxi drivers to register their taxis to Ulendo Taxi. And at the time it was just like, it's just one of those things. It's not exactly going anywhere. But lo and behold, 2-3 years down the line, these guys gained traction, and they became one of the biggest, if not the only, taxi application that was running these services in Zambia. Mind you, like I said before, Uber, we don't have Uber here. So Ulendo became like our Uber. And these guys, because they were the first people to actually do this, they really became really good at it, and they actually started growing, and fast forward to 2019, 2020, 2021, these guys started growing in the sense that from just the Ulendo Taxi Services, they also started thinking about expanding into Ulendo Homes, which is something that was going to be dealing with people renting out their rooms in their house, something similar to Airbnb. And then we heard about Ulendo Media, something that was going to be dealing with videos, graphics, and stuff like that. And something else that they ventured into was Ulendo Eats, that is delivering food through their well, not necessarily their taxi services, but through bikes and stuff like that. So Ulendo became this giant empire. I mean, these guys were running things, like just from the startup of just the taxi service, they were now looking at growing, and might I say, they were really becoming something really big. But come 2021, we had a new competitor on the scene in the name of Yango. Now, for those that don't know Yango, well, you probably know Yango by now. So Yango is an international company that also does taxi services. They hail actually from Europe, and believe it or not, they actually have Russian roots. And so Yango has actually been going international. I mean, expanding in many other parts of the world, and they've recently reached Africa. They're actually in some parts of West Africa, as well as somewhere down the central, and lo and behold, they hit Zambia. So Yango came on the scene in late 2021, and it was a big thing because, I mean, Ulendo has been running the show for the longest time, and now we had this big competitor that we just thought, well, maybe they're just going to be one of those. Ulendo seems to have it. Lo and behold, these guys came in with such low prices, you really couldn't say no to what they were offering. And obviously the strategy was, since there's already a player in the market, come in, make sure your prices are low so that you penetrate the market. Oh, they did. They didn't just penetrate the market, they literally swept the market. I mean, some of those rides were just ridiculous, like you'd pay very low prices for distances and stuff like that. So it really caught Ulendo off guard, and lo and behold, within a very short period of time, these guys were taking over big time. And before you could even say they were really getting all the customers, they went on and launched Yango Daily, which is the rival to Ulendo Eats. So where Ulendo has Ulendo Eats for delivering food products, Yango Daily now also has their own product to also rival Ulendo Eats. And yeah, that's where now we really started seeing the downfall, so to say, of Ulendo. And I mean, they tried, I think, to sort of weather the storm, try and see if they can reduce their prices, cut a better deal with taxi drivers, but the way Yango came sliding into the deal, yeah, I think the damage was done, and so also to compound everything, all of a sudden it seems like there's a boom of taxi apps in Zambia. There's My Ride, there's My Cab that just launched recently, there's Bolt that also just hit the market, so it's getting a little congested out there, and Ulendo seems to be struggling a lot. And so after Ulendo tried to do everything they could to sort of salvage the situation and salvage the market, as I said, it looks like it's becoming a bit crowded out there, and Yango with its pricing is just, making it impossible for you to really compete, and so somewhere along the way, I don't know, Ulendo they've just become quiet. They're there, but they're not really there. And that's sort of the time that I remember. This one time I was trying to look for I was trying to research on them on something, and I typed Ulendo in the search bar, and what kept popping up was Go. So I was like, okay. And not only that, there was this other time I was searching on the web and I saw these ads about Go. I'm like, okay, what's this Go thing? Like, what's Go? So I went to the Play Store and I found this app called Go Zambia. I'm like, okay, so what's this Go thing about? And somewhere along the way, I was reading an article that was saying, apparently, somebody actually said that, Ulendo has actually rebranded to Go. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So that's what those ads were about. And that's why every time I kept typing Ulendo, what kept coming up is Go. I think even now, when you type Ulendo, what comes up is Go. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that's how Ulendo pulled this off. So if you're asking where did Ulendo go, Ulendo became Go. What kind of rebranding? I don't know rebranding Yamunebachaya, because the rebranding that I know, you're supposed to give some sort of a notice or some sort of an announcement to say you are going to rebrand into this, and usually it takes place in phases of which, like customers are sort of made aware slowly that you are moving from this to that. No, they scrapped everything and just said, boom. There you go, and you have Go. So if you're asking where did Ulendo go, Ulendo became Go Zambia. So that's where we're at. So what does this mean? I honestly don't know what to think, because I'm thinking, companies do this. They rebrand to sort of wanting to reintroduce themselves on the market. And maybe when you come under a different name, maybe you might catch the customer by surprise in them thinking you're actually a different company. But in this case, like Ulendo is Go. So, like it's now plain sight. It's not really something new. So if you come to us as Go, we just go like, yeah, we know this is Ulendo and you're Go. You're presenting yourself as Go, but actually you are Ulendo. So I really don't know how this is going to work out for them, because sometimes the rebranding works and sometimes it's a complete disaster. And I think they sort of went about this the wrong way, because I think the best way was to sort of inform people beforehand, or give some sort of a notice or a memo, because obviously they do have customers that they still had some loyal customers that they were servicing. But now, like maybe they gave them notice, otherwise the rest of us not that much here. You're typing Ulendo Go, then you're like, but I'm typing Ulendo, why am I getting Go? So that sort of confusion doesn't help, because now I'm going to feel like, but why didn't you at least let us know what's happening, And so anyway, like I said, maybe they're trying to come at us with a different approach, and so they decided to rebrand and Go, So yeah, anyway, how this whole thing turns out, we're not really sure. Like I said, the taxi app business seems to be booming right now. We've got MyCab Zambia that launched not so long ago. We have Bolt that also is seemingly wanting to capture the market, and you have MyRide as well that's been around. So I guess it's a good time to be a taxi customer, because so many of these means like the price of getting a ride hailing app and getting a ride in Osaka should reduce, but we'll see how far this goes, and ultimately it seems like a lot of these are still operating in Osaka, and a lot of them are still, I'm sure they'll want to expand to probably the Hopper Belt and other places. But for now, the concentration seems to be Osaka. Once they capture this, then they'll move to others. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's what's on the ground. And here at Tech Talk, we're going to keep you updated of how things go. Otherwise, that's the episode for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button, like this video so that you can let YouTube, we're making great content. And also, let us know what you think about the rebranding of Ulendo to Go. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Will it work out? What's your opinion? What do you think? Hit us up in the comment section. Let us know. Otherwise, that's it for today. I'm your host, Jonathan Nindi, aka JAY, and I'm still keeping you updated. Ciao.